everyone, and welcome to another session of physical distancing jewelry making. And today I wanted to show you how to make these chandelier earrings using a really large brass stamping with a smaller brass stamping connector, fringed with some gorgeous cathedral Czech glass beads. Originally I designed this for some VIPs for Skechers, which is a footwear brand I'm sure you've all heard of. But today it's now going to be accessible for anyone who purchases our DIY kit. But you don't have to purchase this kit to follow along. You can use this step-by-step tuition to create your own chandelier earrings using your own bead stash at home. Next to me is this amazing necklace, which was the first piece that I made with this craziness at the moment, and because we're all forced to be inside and to practice physical distancing, what a great way to spend some time being creative. And there's lots of ways that you can be creative, so this is just one way to inspire you to either, you can just look at it, you don't have to even do anything, or you can purchase a kit online at echelage.com and click on DIY kits, or you can be inspired. So it's completely up to you, and yeah, enjoy. Let's make a start. I'll just go through all of the components we're using today. So we've got a fish hook. It is brass, lead and nickel free. So it's not plated, so it's not going to chip or fade or anything like that. Just get a beautiful patina. Czech glass, cathedral in a turquoise. What I love about these beads is the cap on either end. It's a metallic cap. So it gives it that real modern vintage feel, and we're using a really large filigree. We're using head pins. Looks like a dressmaker's pin. It's got a stopper at one end. The other end we thread the beads through and it's not sharp. And then we're using an eye pin, so it's got a loop at one end, and then we can thread from the other end, and that's to connect the bead to the brass stamping and the ear part. And the tools that I'm using today, round nose pliers, so they've got a pointy end, and that's to create some luscious round loops. And to cut the wire, we're using wire cutters. I'm going to start at the bottom, but with linking you can actually start anywhere. So I'm going to thread the bead onto the pin. I'm working horizontally, so I've got a great line of sight so I can actually see the bead. Now I want to use approximately 1 centimetre of wire, so I'll cut the excess off using the back of the cutter closest to my work. So snip that. And how I hold the tool is really important. Palm facing up, because we want to rotate our wrist around to create a round loop. So starting tip of the wire, tip of the plier, form a loop. It won't be completely closed, and then I'm just going to bend it back a bit. I'm going to call it breaking the neck. So I'm threading it through the front of the stamping to the back of the stamping, and you'll know the front from the back. The front is raised. So again, thread another bead on, then I'm swapping my hand to my non-dominant hand, keeping it at a horizontal trimming, creating a loop. So we're creating a circle that's not closed, just bend it back slightly. So when we close it, then it will have more of a round look about it and not look like a P shape. Close that. So we've got 5 beads to make the fringe. Palm facing up, tip of the wire, tip of the plier, rotate your wrist around, just bend it back a bit. And close it. Thread the bead on, swap hands. Work horizontally, trim, palm facing up, rotate your wrist around, just bend it back a little bit, thread it through the filigree front to back, then close it. Looking good. One more bead for this fringe. Thread the bead on, swap hands, trim, form the loop, and attach it to the filigree front to back. So I've now created my fringe. Now to link the top bead, we're using an eye pin, which I introduced you to earlier. Thread it on, swap hands. Trim the excess with your round nose pliers, palm facing up. Rotate your wrist around to form a loop and just bend it back slightly. And we want it to be in the center. Again, threading it through from front to back. This earring's really taking shape. Now the thread on the ear part, we're just going to open it slightly so the loop at the top's not soldered. Thread the ear part, make sure you've got it the right way, and then just close. And here we have half a pair. Why don't we go again? Thread the bead on, swap hands, trim the excess, palm facing up, rotate your wrist around, just bend it back slightly, thread it through the stamping front to back and close. And go again, thread the bead on, swap hands, trim to 1 centimeter. Rotate your wrist around, bend it back. Thread it through the filigree, front to back, close. Thread the bead on, swap hands, trim the excess, create the loop. Thread it through, back to front and close. Thread the bead on, change hands, trim the excess, form a loop, attach it to the filigree, front to back, close. One more to go. Thread the bead on, swap hands, trim so you've got 1 centimeter of wire to form your loop. Palm facing up, rotate your wrist around, just bend it back slightly and thread it through front to back. And then we're just going to close that. So we've got our fringe, just turn it around so you can see. And we're using an eye pin. Thread the bead on, be the last pin that you have if you're following on with the kit. Rotate your wrist around, bend it back slightly. Just make sure when you're attaching that you're going to attach in the middle, and you can see this plane that goes horizontally and vertically, so that's a good way for you to recognize that the diamond shape is the right way. So close that. As before, we're opening up the loop at the top of the bead, threading the ear part on, and then just closing that to secure. So now we have a complete pair. Amazing. So I wanted to show you a few other styles where we've used exactly the same components for quite a different look. So the first one I wanted to show you is where we've used the same beads. So we've got these beautiful 8x6 oval cathedral beads, and we've created a fringe on a filigree fan, And then we've got this additional embellishment, so another brass stamping, and we've fringed that as well. And the central bead here is connecting this stamping to this stamping, and then it's finished off with a continental hook. Quite stunning. The second style I want to show you is really different. So we've used exactly the same stamping that we've used to create the earrings, but this time not only do we have a beaded fringe, but I've also embellished it with a whole lot of stones. So in the center is a Swarovski crystal, and then on the outside is a whole lot of West German glass stones, vintage, and Swarovski bead here, which we've linked together using an eye pin. This starred back I really love. It's a feature that if you've got large lobes, or if you've got large ear holes like myself from wearing big earrings for decades, then this is a great way to disguise it, and it's actually really comfortable to wear as well. So it's just gluing an ear pad onto a stud. So it's that easy. So thanks for dropping by and following me along, whether you're using an Echelage DIY kit or whether you're here just to be inspired. I just want to show you a couple of things if you do purchase any of our DIY kits. So you'll get one of our booklets. They were penned a long time ago now, almost 20 years ago, but still relevant for any sustainable stylist. We tell you all about the different sorts of beads that we use and why we use them, how they're made. In addition to that, it's got step-by-step instructions on basic jewelry techniques, and also a design inspiration section. I've talked a lot about using 1 centimeter of wire to form loops, so I'm giving you a ruler. The front is, it's a bookmark, it's a card, it has a lot of information about different sorts of jewelry parts, and on the back it's a handy ruler in centimeters, so you can measure 1 centimeter to keep your loops consistent. You'll also get a couple of instructions. The first one is a bead drop, so that's to create your fringe using head pins. And the second one is for linking beads, so using your eye pin. Thanks for dropping by as we create social distancing workshops. We are in uncertain times, and I think creativity is one way to ease our anxious minds and anxious hearts. So keep your hands busy and your minds busy. Jump online and find an online course. Make some jewelry, put on a podcast, crank up the music, and enjoy this time as much as you can as we have a little bit of forced downtime. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.